Welcome to Bus Stop Garage. Today guys, we're starting on the core support. Now, I kept looking at the GMC piece we put in. I wasn't liking it. It just took up, it hides that beautiful LS, that diamond right in the middle, you know what I mean? But anyway, and my fenders are all floppy on the bottom and top. I need to get that thing where it's nice and tight so we can get all this squared up and start welding stuff in. But let me show you what I've been doing. Okay, we got some square tube. I got some pretty good thick angle. I know this might be a little overkill, but we'll be able to run our 05. Here I am zoomed in again. But anyway, we cut some square tube. We'll be able to drill clear through this for the way this 05 mounts. Sorry for this. Both of them mount, even the fans, straight through. We'll be able to nut and bolt it through. And same with the condenser backside. They all come to the top right there, about even, and bolt across the top of that. So, we cut some square tube. Now, I'm basing all this off of a 57 Chevy core support, because they're different. This here just wasn't going to work. Look, the more I looked at it, the worse I hate it. Or the more I hate it. But anyway, a 57 core support bolts here, and it's flat all the way over. And then it tapers down to about 22 inches. It goes from 42 to 22. But where we're making this frame, let me get this out of here. I just had that in there for a straight edge. How we're putting it on this frame, we had to cut this pocket out a little bit. Which, more air in there for that powerhouse, the better. But anyway, so it would have been, the bottom of the 57 core support would have been 22 inches. So basically almost the same width as the frame. But now that we don't have the fins, we have no way of tying this bottom fender in. So I've been thinking, we're going to do some calculating, which is, we're going to figure out how far this fin came out that we cut off, and on the other side, add it to the 22 inches to get our exact width for the 57 bottom panel. And we'll run our square tube directly under the upper tube, okay, and over. And we're going to tie the bottom fenders into that tube and drill our holes out for our radiator grommet to set in. And we're going to put our mounts on the outside or inside. Not sure on that part yet, but we'll have our core support mounts here or here, one of the two. And I think that will work. And then we'll run some uprights. Of course, we have to do it outside of that. Which I don't even know if we'll need uprights. Once it's tied into the fenders, it can't go nowhere. You know what I mean? But we'll figure that part out once I get this part in. I'm going to take it all back off, flip this completely over once this is in and bolted so nothing moves. And then get it flipped completely over, figure our fin width, and adding to the 22 inches and whatnot on both sides. But right now, we'll cut some of this angle, the exact width of this square tube, and sand it all down, weld flange on both bottoms over here of this square tube. We'll weld to the bottom, that way we can bolt here. There is actually an angle brace inside of here that we're going to tie into, which I think, yeah, this bolt bolts to the top of it, this bolt bolts to the side of it, but the thing runs clear down to here. So we're going to put an angle in and re-bolt it up here and there. Guys, we're going to blow all this back apart anyway, but this already matches what we got going on here, so why worry about it? Alright guys, got a little carried away. I've got one side welded, I'm welding the other side now. So what we got, just 2 pieces of angle. Now this will go in there, we'll run our bolts here to our fenders. We'll tie our radiators off this tube. Let me get her in there, I'll bring you over. So you can see what I'm tearing up. Alright, as you can see, we're in here. We got our vice grip there and there. Now, we gotta figure out where our hole is. So I'm gonna go from the inside, mark it to see where the original hole is, and see if we'll line up when we get a bolt. If it will, that'd be great. And then we'll drill this out. But we don't know what our measurement is here, so we really need to figure that out next. Then you can see we're level. But the 57 core support bolted right there. And then it goes down. It didn't have all this. So that's what we're going with right there. Then we'll build off that down. Somehow get, we're probably going to have to modify this a little bit because it bends in. We're probably going to have to cut it kind of a slant, make it nice and straight. As you can see, maybe we come off right here, straight line, cut all that off because our AC condenser has to come back here, and we'll build something here to handle the hood. Maybe we can run down another tube down, tie that bolt into this, maybe put a flat spot, bend it up. We'll see. Alright. Keep getting carried away. I'm excited. But here's this inner brace that set bolts here and goes in here. We got our hole drilled. So I'll stick this back up in here. Here's our other one for this side, and we're going to drill it. We still got to drill out the upper piece we just made. But you might have to step drill it because it's a little thicker. She's a thick girl. Let's see. Leave it all loose for now. See if we can drill this out without ripping my hand off. Tell you what, I don't know if you can hear me or see me, but I need some better drill bits. These are the Christmas Tree Plus drill bit. They worked great for a while, and they just quit. They quit on you. Okay. And there you are, lonely, stranded, needing a hole drilled, no drill bit. I know I marked it, just couldn't remember where I marked it. Alright. Bring this side up and get a bolt in it. bit longer. It'd be good for a test bolt. We got her. Now, let's tighten these top ones down. And then we'll make sure we're level this way. And then we'll get it all tight. And we're one step closer to building the bottom. Let's see how I can do this. Dang. We're like ready to win a moolah. And I had to mess it up. Right there. Yeah, let's figure out if I can do this without moving a bunch of stuff. That'll work. I can get this to work. Without anything moving on it. Good. Good. Now, that tightened that up a lot better. Let's double check the stuff here. Golden, golden, golden. We're good, guys. We are good. Now we can kind of step back. Actually, see, now we can get rid of all that. But we're not doing that yet. Once we get the bottom built, we will. And that's going to be a little bit more difficult of one. Said 22 inches for the bottom. But anyway, that's what we're going to do next. And we're going to put the front. We're going to get this where we need it, up this way. And get her stabbed down where it ain't gonna move, and then we do have to come with the cab forward maybe an inch, and then we could bolt the fenders back and get everything lined up and start tacking everything in where it needs to stay. All right, ladies, gentlemen, we're back out here in the shop again. That's what's left of our freaking 20-foot piece of square tube. But anyway, I'll show you what we're doing. Yesterday we got the top made, and we went ahead and took that center bracket out, the old core support. Down here making the bottom part. Now, this might seem like a lot of work, but it's going to stiffen the front up a whole lot, and it's going to give us a good base for mounting the front clip to this frame. But as you can see before, here's our little filler panels. They go from here to about right here. That was on the old one. The old GMC, because the old GMC core support was real narrow. It was like just in the center. But the way I'm making this, we're going to be able to use that. And we should be able to weld that bracket to this square tube when we're done. By the time I measured them filler panels and the center core of the old 57 core support were 46 inches. It's supposed to be 46 inches from here to there. And you can see we're spread out. So we're going to take these, they're going to go up in here and bolt to that fender, weld a square tube to it, and that filler panel will be able to bolt in with it too. So we'll be able to utilize all of it. We'll put the filler panel behind it. So we might have to shave some of the square tube off time we get to that in, so we know we're exactly 46 and we're not spreading this body out any. But I think it's just a hair. I don't think it'll matter much, but we're gonna make sure. So it'll bolt in there and here, and the square tube will fit right inside there. So we should be able to bolt that up and have the square tube behind it, or inside of it anyway. And then we can come over here, either drill and tap to where this panel can bolt to it, or go ahead and just lop that piece there off and weld this to there once everything's where we need it on both sides. But I'm not worried about these filler panels right now. We're gonna get this welded together, get this bolted. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of a fender repair here because this is separated. See if I can get some tacks in there or something before we bolt it all together. It needs pulled, this needs hammered. See if we can tack it or weld it with this old rusty metal. I don't know, it's very possible. Then we'll get the bottom bolted together, and we're gonna take this front clip off, flip it all the way upside down to where it's setting on the tops of the fenders upside down, and we're going to see about the radiator fitment. Now we might have to do a little bit of something different with it, because guys, don't have much room up here to there no matter what I do. And to use that 05 radiator, I wanted to be able to drill this square tube out for us to use this factory mounting spot of the radiator. But I don't know if that's going to work out. I don't know. And the fans bolt up the same way. They bolt on top but clip to the radiator. I don't know. I think this will work. But we have to figure out our height, because we're hitting the frame already. So I might have to cut back more on the frame a little bit. That was just an estimated notch. So we might have to notch just a tad bit more, and then call it good. Make it work. But then once we get that done, we're bringing the hood up. We'll bolt the hood hinges up. We're gonna put the hood on this, because something's still not square. And eventually we might end up having to jack all this back up, cut some more of this bracing out, give us some more wiggle room, and go from there. But I think that might be our best option. All right guys, we're gonna get this half-ass welded up. Here she is. Not the prettiest. Don't laugh at my welds either, okay? Okay. So we still gotta repair this fender a little bit. But I go through the back side. Come on now. Alright. This side's still got a little bit of a lip on that fender I gotta cut. But I think this will work out well. Let's go ahead and see if we can do something with this fender. It's completely gone. Just set this up there. Before it hit me. Bring it over here. Kinda. Maybe. I don't know if you can see what's going on, but got a little bang here. And it's gotta be right up in it. Let's see if that was round. Maybe it's pinched on a nice piece of metal. There, we can catch that down there on fire. Ain't gonna lie to you, that looks like shit. But I couldn't get, it's so rusty. So rusty. But it held. Don't matter. Let's grind some of her up a little bit. We gotta trim the corners of this bracket we just built, just a hair. We gotta lop these corners off a hair because they're coming in interference with the curve of that lower fascia panel. We're just gonna eyeball this corner. And we'll do the eyeball trick again, backwards. Let me get you over here because find that little panel up to mark a hole to drill it and it ain't gonna work. So we're gonna have to have to clamp it, level it, yeah, whatnot. So you guys don't need to see that. I'll clamp and let it's hard for me to, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm gonna clamp that, level it, mark it, drill the holes out, and then I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. All right, guys, we got some accomplished. We'll have to notch more of the frame out a little bit. We get the front clip set down where we need it. But I built the upper tube, bolted it. We built the lower tube. We got 2 bolts in it. We still got to do our uprights. But this helped me adjust this front end way more, or helped me adjust it way better than what it was. Because it kept getting cockeyed and everything else. I couldn't adjust everything I needed back here, but I think the cab might have to come forward a hair. With the newer model setup here, I do got different wheels coming, but even with them, I don't think we're going to get it perfectly center. I think we're going to have to favor the back of the fender a hair, like the original did. But here's the front. We got the upper tube made. We got this lower tube made. Now we got to notch back on the frame of here some more, not much, to get the front of this come down. But you can see that looks way better than having that big thing come up through here. Now my measurements came off of a factory replacement part for a 57 Chevy. I got my measurements for these bars off the core support of that one, which it's still bolted up different than the way I have it. But the way I have it's going to work well for us, because on these GMCs, the core support bolted right in the middle of the frame on one mount. The 57 bolted on 2 mounts, one on each side of the frame, just like a newer model would. But the bar setup, how we have it here, is going to help us use that lower balance panel to fill in behind the bumper, which I think I got one right here. Yeah, this. Now we can still bolt that up with what we just made. This bolted to the core support on each side, but I didn't know how we was going to use this. I thought about tying it into the bumper, but now that we built this, all we got to do is put them in with the bolts. I think we might have to cut this off, add another bolt here, and weld this to this. But I'm not going to mess with this yet. We're going to get everything set where we need it before we start messing with those. But before we was way off here, this was kind of twisted. Couldn't get it exactly right, which it still kind of is a little bit. But I think I'm going to take some measurement, maybe run a bar here, or a piece of 2x2. Just self-tap it, screw it, to keep these from moving back and forth like this. We need to get the front of this perfect, but we need to come forward a hair. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll do a little bit here tomorrow before Halloween. Just a little bit, but I'll catch you guys later. Well, guys, we ran into a small dilemma. Woke up after Halloween, a little trick-or-treat scares. But anyway, I decided to set the hood on it so we can figure out these gaps, and I ran into an issue. Let me show you. So gaps are good on this side, and then I keep running into touching the tire. Every time I get where I need it, everything touches the tire, which it's all cattywampus right now because I took it all apart. It's cut loose the back of the floor. I've got it spaced up to where this was level. Well, this is with the hood on it. And I'm gonna take all this back off I'll show you guys. But my problem is I gotta take the cab back off. And we're hitting there. And then I started looking at this floor harder than I did when we first did all this. Didn't realize something. The 05 floor tapers back wider at the back. Way wider. And I think that might be my centering issue. Because we had the back centered and tight, tied down, welded. And my front, we was at less than a half inch off on the center of the wheel before we did anything. So now, my issue is we gotta take it all back off completely. And we gotta cut this floor out more. So I'm gonna take a chalk line right off the front support here where I nose. Perfect. And I think you can kind of see that little line there. We have to cut that line out to here. I'm trying to leave this, but we might just chalk it. So we can cut this off too. You can see how much thicker it is back here, the line. So we're gonna cut this off, and then we're gonna cut right here all the way across. We're gonna peel this up, drill these spot welds out, do away with this piece of metal. That way we have that much adjustment, and we're still on that brace, and we're gonna cut these braces off flat as well. Cab support brace. Now we can't go in too far because the support's right there, but we go in a good bit. But that's our issue right now. Now, here we go. 2 steps forward, 15 steps back. What you're gonna do when you're doing something like this, you never know what you're gonna end up with. You never know what you have to do to make this stuff work. But this time when this cab's off, I'm cutting out everything I know that we don't need and that's in our way. We're gonna trim the bottom of the dash while it's off. We're gonna trim the 05 floor where we need it to. So we're not taking any more steps backwards. I'm gonna get this thing on, tacked in, because I do have to move it out to the driveway. And I don't want it sitting all weird. I gotta move it out. I got a job to do for a friend, and I need my garage. So we'll see what happens. I'll bring you guys along. But first, I need to eat something. Had way too much coffee not to eat something.